Denigrate Scottish culture as much as possible. This reduces people's self-esteem and stops them from having enough confidence to vote for self-determination. It may eventually lead to them rejecting their own culture altogether. Deny that there is any such thing as Scottish culture. Note: avoid doing both at the same time. Some people might just notice the incompatibility problem. It's also important to rubbish every Scottish hero, rubbish Scottish history, rubbish Scottish literature, rubbish Scottish music, rubbish Scottish scientific achievements, rubbish Scottish languages. If unable to rubbish some of what was mentioned, claim them as British. Pretend that nationalism has never featured in Scottish history, or that it has only recently reared its ugly head. Remind people about the dangers of nationalism. Plant the idea that Scotland as we know it did not exist before 1707, or it was never independent. If people claim otherwise, concede it was independent, but it didn't last long and was considered a failed venture. Lead people to believe that Britain and the British stretched back to the dawn of time. As much as possible, get control of all means by which people can be fed the above: TV, newspapers, publishing, museums, tourist attractions. Money will be available. If people ask about the Union, remind them that the Scots chose the Union and have been the keenest participants. Perpetuate the myth that the Scots were somehow defeated. Again, avoid these two together. Teach people how Scots have contributed so much with the Union and helped build and run the empire. It might be wise to avoid doing this when saying Scots don't have the skills to run Scotland. Remember to point out how well Scotland is doing under the Union. Point out Scotland's higher poverty levels and that Scotland needs subsidised by England. Avoid doing these at the same time. Slight compatibility problem yet again. Never admit that Scotland generates far more for the exchequer per head than other regions of the UK. If they mention the oil, remind them it's Britain's oil, not Scotland's, and its extraction was only possible with British expertise. Tell people the oil will run out in 10 years, so there's no point basing independence on it. This tactic has worked since the 1970s. There is a danger now that Scots are starting to get control of other means of communication such as YouTube or leaving comments on websites. This is harder to control, and it's advisable not to engage them in debate. Use one source of economic statistics 1 minute, and then rubbish the same source the next. Always use the word significant to describe unionist achievements. In sporting matters, ensure any success for Scotland is reported as British, and any failures as Scottish. Please adopt the reverse strategy for England. If Scots complain, portray them as whinging or as anathems. It is also important to give priority to England in sports coverage. Scotland should always be referred to as they or them, and commentary should be particularly biased. Televised news should concentrate solely on England. Most Scottish stories should be trivial in nature. Scottish news will be covered as regional news. It will be done in a way that looks amateur. It's important to fit in as little actual Scottish news as possible. This can be done by having 15 minutes about the old firm in any bulletin. Divide and rule is also a good method to stop Scots voting for self-determination. Highlanders versus Lowlanders, Glasgow versus Edinburgh, Protestant versus Catholic. Show how this goes back centuries, and that Scots have never been united. If coming under flack from nationalists, use the exit strategy. There's no point discussing this, it's a reserved matter for Westminster. If all else fails, laugh down any criticism and answer questions with insults. You are now a highly trained unionist. Do whatever is necessary to preserve the Union.